everybody. Welcome to Generally Speaking. I'm Jennifer Snook, and I am so happy to have you here today. I hope everything's been going well in your world. I really do. Let's get down to business. Here's what's been going on with mine. So I guess I will start with the sad stuff. We had to put our dog down this Saturday, our sweet Sophia, the last of our Labradoodles. I got my first Labradoodle, I think it was 2003, and my Olivia came from Australia. And I bred her once and got the most beautiful litter. I kept one. I bred her, that was my Scarlet, and I got Bella and Sophia. And we lost Bella 6 months ago, just a couple days after my dad. And then we just lost Sophia this Saturday. And, oh, God, it was brutal. Our sweet girl, she was such a good, wonderful, wonderful girl. And I woke up this morning and I saw her little bed in the closet. We called it her apartment. She kept her little apartment in there. She was a very classy lady. She really was. And to not see her little sweet face popping out of there this morning was just such a fucking bummer, to be honest. But she is now reunited with her sister, who I'm sure met her on that cute little rainbow bridge. And you want to hear a funny story? Speaking of the rainbow bridge, my mother, when I found out that this is a little macabre, but when I found out that my dad had passed, I found out from my mom. She called and she said, "Jenny, your dad's on the rainbow bridge." And I didn't know what the hell she meant because I never heard of a rainbow bridge having anything to do with a human being. But then I was thinking my mom probably just doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. So I kind of assumed. But anyway. So now we have this running joke about the rainbow bridge. So not only are our pets on the rainbow bridge, but now that's apparently where my dad is too. So anyway, now my dogs are with my dad on the rainbow bridge, and I'm just glad they're all together. So in other news, we'll see what else is happening. Holiday prep is happening. Christmas plans are happening. I'm busy. I'm actually really busy between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I'm going to be spending a lot of time up in the Bay. So we're going to be driving up for Thanksgiving. It's going to be a really quick trip because I have to come back. I have to do podcast stuff. I have to keep you guys updated and stuff. So I'll be back for a couple days to do some podcast stuff. And then I have to bomb back up there to babysit my two darling nephews for 2 weeks, for a 2-week stretch. Pray for me. Seriously. But yeah, I'm going to watch the boys for 2 weeks while my brother, my mom, well, actually both of my brothers, my sister-in-law and my mom go to India for a wedding. So I'm super excited for them. I'm actually slightly jealous that they're getting to go and have the full Indian wedding experience. I've always thought that was so cool. So I'll be up there for the first 2 weeks of December, and then I'll be back, and then I'll be heading back up there for Christmas. So anyway, a lot of time with the fam, but honestly, I couldn't be more grateful for it. There's no place I'd rather be, around the holidays than with them. So I have a new medication that I am transitioning to. I've been on Benlysta for my lupus and Sjogren's, but I hadn't been seeing much improvement or any improvement at all. Not only has there not been improvement, but my symptoms have been increasing. So we're switching from the Benlysta, which was an auto-injectable that I would do weekly. I'm switching from that to a monthly infusion that I'll now get once a month. So I go down to this infusion center, and that lasts for, I don't know, I think just over an hour, they said, or something like that. All the fingers crossed that this one, that I can feel a marked improvement from this. So anyway, that's what's happening. That's what's happening on the health front. And now it's time for our weekly reality check. I think we're going to start with Salt Lake City this week. So I don't know if you guys have heard all the rumblings about Monica, but before we get into the rumors and the nastiness about Monica, let's get into Monica and her mom a little bit, just because I really think that whoever Monica is today and who she's been up until this point has been shaped by her relationship with her mom and just how dysfunctional and codependent and toxic and abusive that relationship is. And the truth be told, Monica's going to have to do some really serious healing and unlearning before she can ever start to really do things differently, because she is just so ingrained in those dysfunctional patterns that until you really, do the work and purge those from all parts of you, actually, but you have to deconstruct the everything, the belief systems, the way you thought about yourself. You have to literally tear down all of those inner constructs that you used to use to help you get through life and create new healthy ones before anything really ever changes. And I don't think Monica has done that work yet. I think she wants to, and I think she really yearns for a better, healthier life for her and her kids. I can see it in her. I can see when she talks to her mom how much she yearns for just a healthier everything, a healthier relationship between the two of them, a better future for her kids. You can see that Monica really wants it. She just doesn't know how to get there. And that's sad, actually. My heart really goes out to her because there was a time in my life where I was just completely at the end of my rope and I wanted such a better life, but I was so stuck very much in the same way that Monica was stuck, and I didn't know how to get from here to there. Monica's been in survival mode her whole life. It's all she's ever known. And because of that, she's never had an opportunity to really get to know herself outside of that frantic survivalist state. And now there's all the rumors about Beauty Lab and about Lisa Barlow's ring. And, who's to say? I really hope it's not true, but truthfully, a survivalist is going to survive until they learn how to thrive. And sweet Monica is just not there yet, but we are holding out hope, all fingers crossed that this works out well. And now we move on to Jack Barlow and his mission, which, I get it. The kid is living in Mormontown, USA. He maybe doesn't know exactly what he wants to do with his life. He has two parents who he views as very successful. And so maybe that seems overwhelming to him. Maybe he doesn't know exactly what he wants to do. And he wants to take this almost like a gap year, but as a virtuous gap year, right? Because, I suppose that's kind of what it is. And as far as Heather Gay and her opinion about it, listen, we all go down different paths in life. Some of us sometimes go down the same path, but none of us ever have the same experience, even if we're on the same path. And you have to trust that the universe knows what it's doing. It's a little bit like Bethany and Bravo, right? Bethany thinks that Bravo is a bad place, just like Heather thinks that the Mormon church is a bad place. Life is open to interpretation, but everything shows up as a learning experience. Everything is like a lesson, truthfully. It is, whether it's Bravo or fucking or your mission calling, whatever it is, it's a lesson and a path for you to walk down to learn a little bit more about life, to point you in a different direction. Every road is a bridge to whatever is next. And you have to trust that the universe lays those things out in front of you because that's where your lessons are meant to be learned. So regardless of Heather Gay's opinion, she can have her opinion, but Jack Barlow gets to take this year and go on his mission and take this journey in his life. And she can express herself. Everyone already knows how she feels about the church. She has a goddamn book about it. And that's it. Let people walk their path, much exactly the same way that she wants people to let her walk this part of her path away from the Mormon church. Sometimes you have to walk to something before you know that you need to walk away from it. So you give them that grace and you let them go with God. Okay, now let's move on over to Beverly Hills. This week, I really had such high hopes for this episode. I mean, everything started great with Crystal's 40th birthday. Erica was just in rare form. Crystal was excited. And then, hello, Sutton, talk about excited. I'm wearing pants and panties. I got a stack of bills. Why not dance with a stripper in Las Vegas? She was all geared up, and so was Garcelle. And you know, truth be told, I'm actually kind of experiencing a weird phenomenon with the two of them because, to be honest, I'm not really into Sutton or Garcelle. For some reason, they just grind my gears a little bit at this point right now. But here's what I do love. I don't know what it is about their friendship. I'm totally into the friendship. I'm not into them, but I do think that their friendship is really kind of endearing and kind of entertaining, to be honest. Together, they're kind of hilarious. Separately, not so much. And everything was absolutely fine with Sutton until she didn't get called up there. There was an absolute shift in her energy, and it was that shift in her energy that made her shift into that judgy mindset of hers. Because if she had been taken up there straight away and she was just in the mix and it was all happening so fast that she didn't even know, what she should be judging and what she shouldn't, then she would have been in it. And she was drunk enough to be in it. She got loose as a goose. I mean, we all saw that. She was ready to go and she was liquored up. And that's also what made her so sensitive when she didn't get called up. I've had a million people on my page say that, oh, she really just went over the edge when that guy had his head buried in Erica's crotch. But truth be told, if somebody had their head buried in her crotch, she'd be too busy to even worry about what was happening with Erica. And if she had gotten taken up on that stage straight away, that's exactly what would have happened. But it didn't. And the only way for her to metabolize that without crying is to turn into her judgy, righteous, I sit on the board of the American Ballet Foundation self. I almost got sick when she said that. But let's get back to the fun, because I have to tell you, I was so impressed. I've never had more fun watching Crystal. She was fucking great. I mean, she jumped on that stripper like a fucking expert. I mean, that was chef's kiss, Crystal. And then, but do you know who my favorite of the night was? I mean, hands down, my favorite of the night was Dorit. Did you, oh my God, hilarious. Did you guys see her? Did you see that look on her face, that just dumbstruck? She was on another planet, period. Dorit was, I must have rewound that scene and watched her face 20 times. It was just fucking great. I loved it. I mean, that was one of the funniest Dorit scenes I had ever seen. Her mouth, she was just slack jaw and she was so into it. She was just right there. I'm right there. Oh my God, it was so good. Also, Erica. I mean, Erica, when has Erica ever been in better form? She just never has. I mean, she is just calm and balanced, and she knows who she is. She's not getting worked up. She's not letting people yank her chain. I love it. I love this Erica. But Dorit took the cake for me. Kyle was great. Everybody was great that night, except Sutton. Things are all kinds of crazy over in Potomac. You've got the Robin and Juan saga. You've got Giselle and her new love interest. You have Mia and her new lifestyle. Honestly, I can't imagine that this Mia and Gordon situation is going to last much longer because, I really don't think that their relationship is built on the strongest of things. They do have, I think, 2 kids together, which gives them something to stand on for sure. But we all know that relationship started for the wrong reasons. And what we know now is that they are split up. So I'm really not surprised. We now see, watching this, I mean, I didn't expect Mia to take a huge hit in her lifestyle and not bail out and find someone who could provide that for her. She is another survivor, and that's what survivors do. And then you've got Giselle and Jason from Summer House. And I am so here for this. I am so here for Giselle to have this 17-year difference between her and this guy, who I think is an absolute peach. And I think he is I think he's great for Giselle, and I think that she's great for him. And if he is one of those guys that doesn't, his biological clock isn't ticking and he doesn't care about, becoming a father of his own children, then why not? Then let them just dive in and explore wherever this goes for the two of them. I mean, to be honest, this seems like the most stable, secure, solid relationship that Giselle's had in God knows when. When was her last real good relationship? Has it ever been? Maybe not. Anyway, it doesn't matter now. Giselle says that the East Wing or the West Wing is now seeing things that it has never seen, so that's all that really matters. I, for one, am very happy to hear it. As for Robin and Juan, I'm just going to call this willful ignorance. I mean, I think Robin she doesn't have the bandwidth to deal with the fallout of what it will mean if it's all true. Like if she says, "Sorry, Juan, I'm not going to believe you. I'm going to believe the mountain of evidence," then she's down a road that she doesn't want to be on. And for her right now, compartmentalizing that and just choosing to look at the bigger picture and to believe him for the sake of it, that's just where she's at right now. And truthfully, if the ladies keep coming at her much more, any harder, it's only going to affect their relationship with her. So they can either stay in their lane and support their friend from afar, or they can cause a disturbance that's so big that it's gonna cause a fracture in the relationship and it'll never be the same. So, it's a really fine line to walk when your friend is with a constant philanderer. I mean, he is a serial cheater. There's just way too much smoke there for there to not be, at least a little fire. There is, I don't know. It's really a shame because I know we all had high hopes for Robin and Juan and their second attempt at marriage and getting their family back together. But sometimes once that ship has sailed, that ship has sailed. And now we're sailing over to Ba-ba-doo, Southern Charm, which I have to tell you, I have never loved more. This show is really doing it for me right now, hitting on all the levels. So the gang was up at Shep's family's retreat house, cabin house, and apparently Taylor has a house right around the corner, and she invited Olivia up. So Olivia goes up to Taylor's place. Meanwhile, Shep is over at his pad with the fellas who arrange a day to go fly fishing. They were trying to, pull their inner Brad Pitt, river runs through it situation out. Huge failure. But anyway, they had fun playing in the river. That little geek JT fell, got his waders wet. It was embarrassing. But everybody else kind of had fun. Then they stop at a winery on the way home where JT has to sit in his wet waders because he's that big of a dope. Meanwhile, Olivia has a sit down heart to heart with Taylor, who I gotta tell you, that Taylor is just too much for me. She is just, oh my goodness, she is too much. The friendship bracelets after this, it was like a cheap Band-Aid. It was just so transparent. Like, ooh, God, back the hell off. So yeah, I get why Olivia didn't want to stay there. But what I don't get is why'd she come in with her suitcases? She brought 2 suitcases in like she was staying the full weekend, and then she stayed 20 minutes. So, I don't know. I just would have left my suitcases in the car until I felt that whole thing out. If she thought she was on the fence, why bring the suitcases in? But anyway, it added for dramatic effect. She took her suitcases out. She said, "I'm leaving." And then she went back, met up with the boys for a glass of wine. And then they went back to the pad where they all had dinner together and where Shep got, competitive the way Shep does, hyper competitive. Shep is such a 12-year-old when it comes to competition. It's like he becomes his worst self. So, and then plus he was drunk, and that never makes anything better, right? And then meanwhile, you've got Rod, is that his name? Rod, trying to, I mean, really lock down Olivia, who I think is, I love Olivia. I mean, she is really a superstar. And truthfully, if Shep could get over himself and really just get ready, I think the real super couple is him and Olivia. I think that's really where it's at. I mean, if they're going to stay within their incestuous pool, I think her and him are a much better match than him and Taylor. Taylor, quite frankly, I think is a pathetic little lost soul who I think she wants to mean well, but I think she's just so broken and bleeding out inside that she'll just take whatever kind of attention she can get from anyone. And those are my least favorite people. Anyway, so that all goes down, and then Shep loses a ping pong game, and when he thinks that Taylor is making fun of the fact that he's lost, he goes fucking berserk on her. Absolutely, like, loses his shit. And then she threw her wine at him in, retaliation, which seemed fair at the time. And then he goes in, they have a few words about it, and you were making fun of me, you know how to push my buttons. I mean, it was just all like feelings and drama. And quite frankly, Shep has been stacking all of this stuff, trying to be the bigger guy about everything, not expressing the fact that he's hurt. So he's been bottling all that hurt up. And now with a ping pong game gone awry, and the however many drinks he's had, now seems like the right time to Shep. So he is expressing himself, and it is not coming out just the right way. Yeah, but everything's okay with Taylor. She doesn't mind that, because we wake up the next morning and guess who's in bed together? Yes, that's right, Shep and Taylor. Even after he went berserk on her last night, because like I said, she will take it from wherever she can get it. Now it's time for a few questions. This first one comes from TikTok from a woman who has a username called Mama Songbird. And Mama Songbird says, what did you think of the Jen scandal the last day at BravoCon? And, I thought it was just very Jen. That's what I thought. I was actually glad to see that there was some panel that got a little juicy and heated. I mean, just even for the sake of the fans. I thought it was hilarious when that gal held her hands up and asked Louis to describe what he did in 10 words or less, and he couldn't do it. And Teresa just sat there looking completely confused. But then when that woman got up and asked Jen the question that she asked, I mean, before we get into Jen's answer, we have to talk about the question, because the question was aggressive. And as much as I am not a Teresa Jen fan, it was an aggressive question. So I'm not exactly sure if that woman was expecting some softball answer, but I don't think that you throw Jen Aiden a question like that and should expect, some little fluffy marshmallow coming back to you. I just think you should know better than that. So while Jen was very clumsy with her choice of words, I don't really think that Jen was trying to be, to come at it from the weight angle. I think that Jen was in fight or flight. And I think that when you're in fight or flight, you don't think before you speak. And I'm sure that if Jen could, she would go back and reword that. But all's fair in love and war, and apparently defending Teresa. Okay, the next question comes via email. This is from Dylan P., who is 43. Dylan P. says, I've heard you say that you are a recovered addict, but I've always been told that once an addict, always an addict. So how do you square that? Well, Dylan P., great question. Here's the truth. I think that the once an addict, always an addict mindset is a complete crock of bullshit. I think it is completely untrue, and I think that it is actually severely detrimental to the addiction and recovery community. I think it is horrible, and I think it has done that entire group of people a horrible injustice. I really do. I feel passionately about it. I had a wicked opiate addiction. I also know that I have never counted a day. I have never been to a single meeting, and I have not had an ounce, not a single ounce of a craving or desire to do an opiate or to, get high the way I used to get high in 11 years. Not once. And the reason is, will some people be addicts the rest of their lives? Yes. And the reason is because they will not have healed the underlying root cause. So if you don't heal the underlying root cause, then it's always there. It's always bubbling. It's always percolating. It's always causing you grief. You can always feel it. But if you can heal the wound, then the pain disappears. And that's what I did. So it was so incredible. And that's why every day of my life for the last 11 years has felt like bliss in comparison to the way it used to feel. Because for the 40 years leading up to that, I felt that pain in every heartbeat. But when that pain disappeared and when I healed that wound, it all went away and there was nothing left to medicate. The ache was gone, right? It was like my spirit. It wasn't just my body physically being sober. It was like for the first time in my life, my spirit was sober. It was not under the influence of those delusions that I used to believe, that I wasn't enough, that I got the raw end of the stick, that life was unfair and I was the one taking the brunt of it. Just all of those limiting beliefs that really did delude the way I was looking at life. It all disappeared when the pain disappeared. So yeah, so I do not buy the once an addict, always an addict situation. I believe that we are constantly growing, we are constantly evolving, we are constantly shifting, and who we were yesterday does not define who we can be tomorrow. Okay, our last question comes from Paula P. Hello, Paula P. Paula P says, what did you think of the Vanity Fair article regarding Bethany and the reality reckoning? Oh, well, I think a lot about it, to be honest. Firstly, I've always been a big Bethany fan. I really have. Bethany is a fast thinker. She's a fast mover. She's a fast talker. And I think there were some hurt feelings involved in the whole dynamic. And I think that she thought fast, spoke fast, and just really kind of dove headfirst into this really kind of fast. And I don't know, I have a sense that maybe she kind of, I don't know if she'd do it again the way she did it. Maybe she would, maybe she wouldn't. But, the truth is, I get that there's a lot of reality, stars that are, feeling a certain type of way about it. But the other reality is that I know a lot of people who feel a certain kind of way about their work and their work conditions. I know teachers, a lot of teachers who are stressed to the gills. Just stressed out of their minds, drinking copious amounts of whatever they can get their hands on just to self-medicate. I also know a bunch of, just very high-level business people, CEOs and CFOs of huge corporations that are doing exactly the same thing because they too are in a pressure cooker and, feel stuck. And the fact of the matter is that we all kind of have to pick our poison. All of these things are kind of become the backdrop of our life from which we learn the lessons, about life, about ourselves, about how much we can take, how much we should take. And, you have to, at some point, the truth is they may stock everything with alcohol because alcohol makes for a more entertaining show. There's no doubt about it. But the fact of the matter is they're not shoving it down people's throats. You know what I mean? No one ultimately is making people drink too much or be too mean or do anything that is outside of the scope of what they should be doing. Because the fact of the matter is, nobody else is making you do that, because ultimately that's what these things come into our life for, to make you figure out who the fuck you are. What do I stand for? What is okay with me? You know what I mean? And then you have to start having the hard conversations with yourself. Are the trade-offs worth it? Am I compromising myself? Am I staying tethered to my truth, or am I losing myself? And that is kind of the work of life. And you don't get to just, like, look at sororities, look at the modeling industry. You can't change everything. Life is the backdrop from which we are meant to learn. So we can't fully sterilize it in an effort to protect everybody's safe space so that they don't feel uncomfortable and feel pressured and because the fact of the matter is that hard shit happens so that you can learn to stand up to pressure. And are these things, pressure cookers? Yeah, but nobody goes into it thinking that they can't handle it. They obviously think that they can handle it going in. But, there's plenty of things that I went into thinking that I could handle it, and turned out I couldn't. But I learned a lot along the way. Truth be told, my entire opiate addiction, that was a very unhealthy journey. Just, like if someone called their Bravo experience an unhealthy journey. My opiate addiction was a fucking very unhealthy place to be. But I will tell you this. I know it sounds crazy, and I know it goes against the grain of what most people say, but I truthfully would not change that opiate addiction for anything in the world, because it was that journey that brought me here, that landed me where I am today, that ultimately allowed me to find the peace within myself. Did it shake me up and fuck me up and really rattle my world? Yes. But I needed to have my world rattled in order for things to get realigned, for me to learn who I really was and to find my light and to step into it. So do I think that there are other parts of the reality reckoning that are worthy? Yeah, I do. I think that if you're doing a show here for, whoever you're hired for through Bravo or Shed or, whatever their thing is. And if you're on a show here and then suddenly, you're in another country and you see your face on the back of a bus, I think you should get paid for it. If your shit gets sold, I think that you should get paid. I don't think they should be able to use your likeness in perpetuity. I don't think that's fair. So I do think that there is change and, different guidelines that need to be put into place. But I don't think that Bravo can be made to be this big, horrible bad guy when, truth be told, even Bethany wouldn't be where she is today if it wasn't for Bravo. She just wouldn't. She might be somewhere great, but she wouldn't be there. And, and the other thing is you kind of only hear the complaints from people that have kind of lost their way and fallen off the wagon and not the wagon, but you know what I mean? Fallen off the Bravo wagon and kind of created, some animosity, like the whole Nene Leakes kind of situation, the Liam McSweeney, all that kind of stuff. It's usually the people who are not still, in the machine, like Bethany calls it. It is a machine, but right, just so is a car. You can get in and you can get out of that. You're not stuck. You're really not. Like, it's no different than a pill addiction. You think you're stuck, but you're really not. This is all about personal growth. So anyway, that is my take on Bravo and the Bethany and the reality reckoning of it all. So, okay, you guys, now we are going to move on to our next segment where we are going to take some calls from you guys, and we are calling it Hello Caller. Today we are calling Dallas from Seattle, which is kind of funny, isn't it? I feel like somebody with a name like Dallas should be from Dallas and not Dallas from Seattle. But anyway, I digress. Let's get Dallas on the line.
Hello.
Dallas.
Hey.
This is Jen from Generally Speaking. You
Oh
are
my
on
God, no way.
you're on the pod.
This is great. Hey, how are you?
I'm so happy to talk to you today. How's Seattle?
Rainy, cold as usual.
Right. Yeah, as Seattle usually goes, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Where
I
are you?
I'm in LA
Oh wow, not so
where
rainy
it's
out there.
where it's perpetually sunny
Great. Yeah,
usually.
I wish I was out there.
Yeah. Most people in Seattle I think secretly do.
Yeah,
Anyway,
totally.
Dallas, I have a question for you. I'm sure that you watched this last episode of Beverly Hills, right?
I mean, who hasn't?
Right. If they hadn't, they certainly need to get on it.
I mean, really.
Okay, so here I need to get your take on the Sutton of it all, please.
Ugh.
Okay,
What part? What part?
do you in any way, shape, or form believe that Sutton was ran away and threw a fit because she was absolutely repulsed and embarrassed?
I mean, first gut reaction, probably not. It looked to me like she was just kind of like a hurt girl who thought she was about to get on stage. I mean, she brought money. She wore pants and panties for a reason.
And she
I
said it
mean, I don't know.
numerous times, right? She made sure that everyone knew that she wore pants and panties.
She was flashing money like she was going to make it rain. She knew what a strip club was about. It was nothing new to her. She's seen Magic Mike. I don't know what she was so offended by, and maybe just the fact that Erica Jane was, getting down and having fun, and she just doesn't know how to have fun like that. I have no idea. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I think you're right. I think that the fact of the matter is Sutton was super excited, and then she got her feelings hurt and she got embarrassed, and it was
well, she
easier.
definitely got embarrassed by her overreaction. She was just crazy. I mean, her overreaction was, and then she had to wrap it up like, oh, I'm a part of this ballet association, what have you, and I mean, just whatever. It just sounded to me like a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors.
Right. Well, yes, if she's so concerned about particular behavior because she's on a certain board, then she should really watch her own behavior a little more because
Yeah. Well, where was she going to put those ones anyway? I mean, let's get real.
I don't know. She seems to make it out
Was she going to
like
buy drinks? Buying drinks for everybody? I don't know.
she said it
So
was
yeah.
all about the face and the crotch, but I don't know. I think the poor girl was just painfully embarrassed.
I agree. She's got a problem.
She
More than just with Magic Mike, I'm sure.
well, she is. She's a particular kind of cat.
Yeah, I'd say.
But, she does make good TV because you can't quite put your finger on what her dysfunction really is. I think there's a lot bubbling up with Sutton that we'll soon find out, and I'm excited about it. Anyway,
Yes, definitely.
it was
We all
really
are.
great to talk to you, Dallas, and
Hey, so happy to hear from you. That's the last person I expected. So such a blessing, such greatness.
well,
I love your show. I love your channel.
Well,
I just
I
keep
know.
going.
I appreciate all your support through the years. I really do. So I thought that you should definitely be one of our first callers. So
Thanks so
I
much. Well,
appreciate
you make it fun. You make everything so fun. So, and you have all the great takes. Love it.
thank you so much. All right, my dear, we'll talk to you soon. Well, that about wraps up this episode of Generally Speaking, everybody. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so grateful that I get to share this time with you. But before we go and part ways, I wanted to leave you with a centering thought, as always. And this one is super important. And I mean, you might want to go get a pen or a pencil and write this one down. So I'll give you a second. You might want to write it down a few times and just kind of litter it around the house because this is a good one. An oldie, but a goodie, I promise you. I wrote this one quite a few years ago. And it really, God, was so poignant in my life because for so long I did this. And you can't do this and get the life that you want to live. It's just they run in contradiction to each other. So this is the thought, and this is what you need to remember, and this is what you need to hold on to. And truthfully, this this will start to shift your life if you can really start to implement this. Here goes. You ready? Stop giving the worst parts of your life the most power over it. Okay? You got that? All right. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. And I cannot wait to get back with you next week. And we're going to have so much more to talk about. Things are getting so juicy in the world of reality. I cannot wait. If you would be so kind as to give us a 5-star rating and a review, we would love that. Also, you can follow me on TikTok at This Is Generally Speaking or on Instagram at The Jennifer Snook. All right, everybody. I hope you all have a great week. And until we talk again, stay rooted in love.